I'm sure you all are following the whole Michigan sign-stealing debacle. You all already probably updated about Jim Harbaugh getting suspended. I wasn't going to touch on that topic, but now it's starting to leak into possible conference realignment talk. Because Michigan apparently is considering leaving the Big Ten over this whole ordeal. I'm going to talk about that, give you my thoughts on it, and then tell you how it may or may not impact the Big 12 and or my team, West Virginia. And we're going to do all of that right after this word from my sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar. Let me serve you up this shot of top-shelf college football content. On tap in today's episode, we're talking about the Michigan Wolverines possibly leaving the Big Ten. Is that even feasible? We're going to talk about it, and there are some articles from some reputable sources talking about this. Now, for those of you who may not know, and if you don't, you've probably been living under a rock, but Michigan the Big Ten rather, just suspended Jim Harbaugh for 3 games because one of his staffers has been going to games of future opponents, recording the signals on the sidelines, and then relaying that information, allegedly, back to, and this is all alleged, back to Michigan's coaching staff so they can be better prepared. And other Big Ten teams are up in arms about it. They're saying it gives Michigan a competitive advantage, which I happen to agree with. And then, of course, Michigan fans are saying, no, it's not that big a deal. They don't have enough proof, yada, yada, yada. Well, the Big Ten has now stepped in, suspended Jim Harbaugh for the last 3 games of the regular season. 2 of those 3 games are against Penn State and Ohio State, so could have major repercussions. Now, because of this, Michigan is pissed. There's no doubt about it. Michigan's pissed at the Big Ten. They feel like they're overstepping their bounds. And there's some rumblings starting about Michigan possibly leaving the Big Ten. I'm going to tell you where I first heard about this. I'm going to share a tweet with you that I got from someone named Brian Jordan. Now, I'm going to admit, when I first got this tweet, I thought this guy might be off his rocker and was just making up stuff. He says, I urge you all to stay informed about the developing situation between the University of Michigan and the Big Ten Conference. There's a sense of profound betrayal that has seemingly inflicted too much damage to readily repair. This is on November the 9th, and I was tagged in this. That same day, he tweets out, like Stan Cal, UM has the financial resilience bolstered by its significant endowment to thrive in a conference like the ACC, even if it might mean earning less in media revenue. It's worth mentioning that the Big Ten does not impose an exit fee. He goes on. Here's the one that really caught my eye. Hey, at Couz 206, which is me, there is a lot of rumblings in the Big Ten that Michigan may be leaving the conference if Harbaugh is suspended. One of the potential landing spots for Michigan is the ACC. If you're WVU, what do you do? Please do a show on this topic. Such move may help WVU. Now, I'm going to touch on that in a minute. And then he followed that up with another tweet that says, discussions about Michigan potentially leaving the Big Ten are very serious and ongoing, given the involved stakeholders. And if the Big Ten does not give Harb's due process, it is all but guaranteed that UM boots the Big Ten. Now, I thought that was all far-fetched and out there stuff. I'll be honest with you. But after some articles came out, maybe this guy's not off his rocker after all. And, of course, Mr. Jordan, I'm obviously teasing you. But I honestly did think that was hogwash when you sent it to me. I'm not going to lie. And a lot of other people did too, based on the comments that came after, which I'm sure Mr. Jordan was prepared for. But now there's articles out there. And this is an article from Wolverines Wire. And it's based on an original article from Sports Illustrated. It says, University of Michigan Board considers leaving Big Ten. First-year Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti may have thought that the University of Michigan would lay down instead of fight when it came to punishing head coach Jim Harbaugh under the Conference of Sportsmanship Law. But the university is serious about defending its 9th-year head coach, and it very well may go nuclear with its response to Friday's suspension. According to Sports Illustrated's Michael Rosenberg, the University of Michigan Board of Regents has discussed leaving the conference if it unilaterally suspended the Michigan football head coach while the NCAA investigation continues. Tony Petitti, and this is a quote from Rosenberg, Tony Petitti has no idea how badly he just botched his job, but here's a hint. In a meeting last week, Michigan's regents discussed possibly leaving the Big Ten if Petitti suspended Coach Jim Harbaugh without what the school considered due process. A person familiar with those discussions told Sports Illustrated. One person told Wolverines Wire earlier in the week, under the condition of anonymity, that such a discussion did take place. Petitti admitted in his response to the Wolverines that there is no evidence that Harbaugh knew about Connor Stallions' scheme, but noted this as a punishment for the action regardless. Michigan and Harbaugh have filed for an emergency injunction or temporary restraining order against the Big Ten, which would allow for Harbaugh to return to the sidelines for Saturday's game at Penn State. Now, first of all, my opinion on the whole thing, I'm just making it brief. I do think Michigan deserves to be punished here. I do think you're gaining a competitive advantage by doing what they did, and it is blatantly against the rules. Now, a lot of people on the Michigan side are saying, yeah, but there's not enough evidence yet. Apparently there is. There have been meetings between Michigan and the NCAA, Michigan and the Big Ten, the NCAA and the Big Ten. There's been meetings with everybody. And if there was no evidence, then why did they suspend Connor Stallions? Why would he need to be suspended if he didn't do anything wrong? And do you really think the Big Ten would suspend the coach of the number one team in their conference right now, the team who has the best shot of making the college football playoff, without proof? Why would they do that? That does not help the conference in any way to do that. Now, with that being said, if Michigan leaves the Big Ten, first off, I don't think they do. I think this is a bluff by Michigan to try to show the Big Ten how serious they are about this. I don't think they'll ever leave. They would be walking away. Now, if they go to the SEC, they wouldn't be losing quite as much money. They might be losing, $10 million a year maybe. I'm throwing out ballpark numbers here. But Mr. Jordan seems to think they might go to the ACC and be willing to take a smaller revenue cut. Now, if they leave the Big Ten for the ACC, they could be losing anywhere between $20 to $30 million a year. Do you really think they would take that kind of pay cut to go to the ACC? I don't see it happening, even though they do have a large endowment. And I'm telling you right now, if they did want to leave the Big Ten, I'll guarantee you there's not a conference out there that wouldn't want them, including the SEC. And I'd say they'd be more likely to go to the SEC than they would the ACC because of the pay. They're going to make a lot more money in the SEC than they would the ACC or the Big 12. So I don't think the ACC or the Big 12 even have a shot here. So, Mr. Jordan, I'm sorry, I don't agree with your opinion on this. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But now, how will this affect West Virginia and the Big 12? Well, let's just say theoretically Michigan does end up leaving the Big 10. Let's just say they go to the SEC. How does it impact the Big 12? I think that actually hurts the Big 12 because then the Big 10 is going to need to backfill with some teams. And with that, now, the Big 10 could potentially get some ACC schools, could backfill with them, but with that looming grant of rights deal, the legal battle that would ensue there, maybe they would be better off going and getting a team out of the Big 12 like, an Arizona or a Utah or a Colorado or a Kansas, someone like that, who are AAU members, who are pretty highly rated academic institutions. So it could actually hurt the Big 12 if Michigan went to the SEC because there's going to be a spot open and a Big 12 team could potentially get it. Now, most people are going to say, yeah, but Notre Dame will be the number one choice. Of course they will, but I'm still convinced that Notre Dame wants to do everything they can to stay independent. Not saying they'll be able to forever, but I think for now they stay independent, which means they're going to have to find someone else to backfill that slot. Now, let's just say theoretically Michigan does go to the ACC. Say Mr. Jordan is right. Michigan goes to the ACC. They're willing to take a pay cut in TV revenue, rely on their endowment money and their donors. If that happens, if Michigan goes to the ACC, number one, the ACC is likely going to get might get a renegotiated TV deal, potentially. Get a bump in their TV deal. Would that open the door for then a West Virginia to go to the ACC? Well, that you think they would want to add one more team to get to an even number? Because conferences typically don't like to add just one team. They like to add at least two. So maybe that opens the door for a West Virginia then to go to the ACC. We know the Big Ten is not taking West Virginia to backfill the Michigan loss because West Virginia does not fit their academic profile. They really don't fit the academic profile of the ACC either, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and if the ACC felt they needed to, they could bring West Virginia in just like they did Louisville. Louisville doesn't fit their academic profile either. So they would be a good partner with Louisville. Now, and we've all heard West Virginia has been on the list of teams they vetted multiple times. And we've heard that the ACC would potentially add West Virginia if the opportunity presented itself. And hey, bringing Michigan into the ACC might just save that conference. Think about it. If they rejoin the ACC, maybe that gives the ACC some room to go back to the negotiating table, some leverage, to go back to the negotiating table with ESPN and say, hey, we need to renegotiate this TV deal. We now have one of the biggest brands in college football in our league. Michigan would automatically be the top brand in that conference, in my opinion. Florida State fans may disagree, and it would also make Notre Dame happy because Notre Dame is tied into the ACC, and they have a rivalry with Michigan. Even maybe Notre Dame may even help this happen, just like they did the Stanford and Cal thing. Who knows? But if Michigan went into the ACC, it would strengthen that league. Maybe it prevents Florida State, Clemson, UNC, and these other schools from leaving the conference. And if that's the case, and they want to backfill with West Virginia, then I think it would be wise for West Virginia to consider it, because at that point the ACC would be arguably a better conference than the Big 12, and it would be a much easier fit geographically, and would be a lot easier on their travel. So, Mr. Jordan, I do understand your point here, how this could potentially help West Virginia. But, man, this is all stuff that's, to me, very, very unlikely to happen. I don't see Michigan leaving the Big Ten. I don't think they really want to leave the Big Ten. I think they're just doing this to prove to the Big Ten how serious they are. I think they're wanting to stay in the Big Ten if at all possible. Now, is the damage too much for them to stay? Maybe. Now, I've even heard rumblings that they could go independent. I think I saw that on Twitter. I just don't think it's feasible for teams to go independent in today's landscape. It's just too hard to get a TV deal done, too hard to get scheduling done. Notre Dame is an anomaly there, and I don't even think Notre Dame will be able to stay independent forever. At some point, Notre Dame's probably going to have to join a conference. Now, whether that's the Big Ten, who knows? It's yet to be determined. But with that being said, guys, I want to hear your thoughts on this matter. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think Michigan actually leaves the Big Ten over this ordeal? And if they do, where do you think they end up? Do you think they end up in the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12? What do you think happens here? I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Also, guys, if you liked this video, please give me the thumbs up button. It really helps that YouTube algorithm. Really helps my channel grow. Also, don't forget, share it with your family and friends if they like West Virginia football, Big 12 football, conference realignment talk. I'm the guy. Send them this way, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and be sure to hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Also, I want to give a shout out to my VIP channel members. Right now, scrolling along the bottom of the screen, I have 4 names of some of my pub level, which is the $2.99 a month level channel members. Shout out to Kenny Evans, Vernon Sheldon Witter, Travis Anderson, and Roy Harrison. Now, the club level is the $4.99 level per month. You get a few extra perks. Give a shout out to Big Dan T, Timbo, Cody Cutright, and Timothy Hetrick Jr., 4 of my club level VIP members. A couple of the extra perks are additional merch discounts. By the way, check out my merch store and with the link below or the photos below. You get access to a private Discord server where you can get on there and chat with me and others about college football. And you get early access to videos, which all members get occasionally. But with club level, I give you early access with limited ads. So it's a little bit extra perk that I can give you on YouTube. Now, I'm not able to take away all the ads because YouTube won't allow that, but I can limit them. With that being said, guys, I really appreciate you tuning into this video. I appreciate all your support, and Q Country Roads.